Welcome to I Wish You Could Hear This, where we explore great stories and simple proven steps to help you thrive in life, faith, and relationships.
In our research, we've heard hundreds of hope-filled strategies for marriage, parenting, leadership, and life that are grounded in science and consistent with biblical truth. And now you can hear them too.
I'm Shaunti Feldhahn.
And I'm Jeff Feldhahn.
What are young couples' questions about marriage today? If an engaged person comes from a divorced family, how can they work through any trust issues to have a lifelong secure commitment? What do young Christian couples who are waiting for marriage do to make that possible when everything in our culture pushes them in the opposite direction? Today on I Wish You Could Hear This, we have a unique opportunity to dig into those questions and others in a very personal way, because our daughter and her fiancé are getting married in just a few weeks, and we have them with us in the studio today.
So welcome to Morgen Feldhahn and Ben Foster.
Hi.
Hey, hello.
Happy to be here.
Wow, now we're just a few weeks away. This is all becoming very real. I want each of you to introduce yourself shortly, but how are you feeling now that the wedding is on the horizon and you're making final preparations?
Excited? Nervous?
Yeah.
But honestly, just can't wait. Can't wait to be married.
I'm very excited.
That's
very
awesome.
Can't wait to be married. What a great line. So Morgan, why don't you take just a brief moment and introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah. I am Morgan. I'm related to these people. Grown up my whole life hearing them talk and sitting in the back of the room while they were speaking. But I graduated from Georgia Tech with a degree in industrial engineering a couple of years ago. And right now I work as a supply chain consultant.
There you go.
There you go.
So Ben Foster, our future son-in-law.
Oh, that sounds so weird
It does.
to say that.
Can you introduce yourself and give us a little bit of your background, maybe your family background that's relevant here?
Yeah,
introduce
absolutely.
yourself.
My name is Ben Foster. I recently graduated from Georgia Gwinnett College with a history degree. This summer, I will be applying to KSU to do a master's program in teaching. And what...
You're working as a teacher.
Working as a teacher right now, yes.
Okay. And
He is a great guy with youth.
yeah,
We
and
love watching him.
we couldn't be more thrilled about our daughter's judgment here. So Ben, could you share a little bit about your family kind of background? How everyone knows Morgan's family background kind of. I'd love to hear for them to hear about yours.
Yeah, absolutely. My family background is when I was 9, my parents got divorced, but they are happily remarried now. So just learning about what they went through has impacted me.
Not to interrupt, but remarried to other people.
Yes, yes.
Right.
They did not get remarried back to themselves. I'm thankful that like my stepdad is really great to my mom, and then my stepmom is great to my dad. So I'm very blessed to see that.
It's great.
So I am curious, wanting to focus on this podcast on some, and I have to tell everybody who is not watching on YouTube that we are in a weird position in the studio because there's 4 of us in the studio, each sharing
Of the
microphones. And I am trying so hard to not turn my head to look at them and instead make sure that we are on microphone.
So that the audio is
so the audio
decent.
is good. So all of you who are watching this on YouTube, you're probably going to be giggling the whole time because we're trying so hard to not look at each other. Anyway,
It's very authentic, I think so.
It's
Yes.
so weird. Anyway, okay. So what we want to focus on in this podcast is some of the things that young Christian couples are wondering as they step into a more serious relationship, like including getting engaged and then getting married. Morgan and Ben aren't just sitting here kind of representing themselves. They have lots of different friends who have gotten married in the last few years. Now, all over the map, some of them are Christians who have waited for marriage, some who have lived together, some of them from divorced families, others from secure families, some who had really difficult roads in their relationship, others who hadn't really encountered huge conflict. So we are hoping that this conversation will help all the young people listening and those like us who have the adult kids who are in this phase of considering a serious relationship or getting married. In this case, we do have a little bit of an unusual situation because Morgan has grown up reading our books and hearing our talks her whole life. So when I asked her what questions she had, she said,
Nothing really.
and Ben says from the other room, I have questions. And so also, of course, poor Ben, when they got engaged, all of our friends were like telling him, you have some reading to do.
By the way, they did not know I have dyslexia, so
He's working
I
through
just
it.
nodded my head, said
That's
yes.
that's a heavy lift, but you're doing it,
He
which
is.
You are
is
doing
so honoring.
Which we
So
are
thank you.
so proud of you
Yes.
for that. All right.
So let's start off as a starting point. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you guys think of your friends and the questions that they had? What are they talking about?
I mean, the one that comes to mind right away is most of, us and a lot of our friends are Christian and waited for marriage. So a lot of the time, that's what people have questions about because we really don't have that experience to pull on.
So just to get the elephant out in the room, sex.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, okay, hold on.
Yes, future father-in-law.
Now, just to encourage some of the parents out there who hear everything about how no one waits for marriage, you've got several friends who have gotten married recently who have waited, right? I'm not just the naive mom, right?
Yes, most of our friends.
See, okay, isn't that cool to
That's
for
really remarkable.
other young couples who think that nobody else waits?
Yeah.
It's not accurate. So
Yeah.
anyway, there are plenty of people for whom that's a thing that matters to them as part of their faith.
And now we have to calm our kids, Morgan and Ben, right now. So
That we're not going to force them to talk about this topic?
Oh,
Yes.
thank goodness. I mean, you did ask me to help with the research on your book, so I don't know. It might be a little too late.
Oh,
but-
yes. I know. Okay, just so you know what she's talking about. When Jeff and I were starting the work on Secrets of Sex and Marriage and the research on that, we lost the main intern that was going to be doing like the number crunching and the analysis.
Some of the
and
statistical
the
analysis.
statistical stuff on the survey. And so suddenly we're like, oh my gosh, what do we do?
in this graduate assistant,
The PhD grad
yeah,
assistant.
she had a particular expertise in the software needed to do that analysis.
The SPSS analysis,
Correct.
exactly. And so she had to bow out because of some
A family issue.
issues. And so we're like, we are completely stuck. We're like, I don't know what we're going to do. It's May. Where am I going to find an intern at this point? And Jeff goes, I think she's living upstairs. And because Morgan, being an engineer, she was able to learn the SPSS software really quickly. And she was like, the only thing is, I'm crunching numbers on this topic of sex. You guys are going to pay for my therapy.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, poor thing.
Some of
Anyway,
the things she encountered in the survey
I don't want to talk
results.
about it.
no, let's not talk about
Please.
it. But I am going to say, just for other like young people who might be wondering, just so you know, those questions like Morgan was talking about, those are questions a lot of people have, even if you live together before marriage.
Well, even if you were married for 30 years,
That's
these
why
are
we wrote the
questions.
book.
That's why we wrote the book, because it's a topic that all too often we're embarrassed about or we don't talk about. And I'm not telling you to talk about it with your parents. Really, that would be a
you.
bad idea. But there are people who have skills. There's resources out there that you can read on the topic, and you should.
Yep. But for the young people who might be wondering, these are questions a ton of people have. So the key is talking about it. But yeah, we won't force you to talk about it today. Okay. So Ben, you have had some guy friends get married recently as well. What's the main question that comes to mind for you that you think they've probably had in their mind as well?
I think for most guys, for me, I've been thinking, am I ready for this? Am I ready for these next challenges and steps?
And like the responsibility and all of that.
Right. But I feel like over the past couple of months, I've been maturing more. and I think I'm ready. But definitely the first step was, am I ready? I'm
Yeah,
scared.
and so the question is, shouldn't I be more certain about what I'm about to embark on? Shouldn't I be more certain about this person that I'm about to commit in front of God and others that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with? Shouldn't I be more certain that that's for sure? And I'll say that it wasn't in my case. I mean, 31 years later, it's worked out, and I'm grateful for it. But after I asked Shaunti to marry me, on Christmas Day, 1993.
Yes, I'm looking at Ben, which is really unfair because Ben, why don't you share what happened the other day?
We were spending Christmas together.
We were playing Yahtzee on Christmas, and I nonchalantly say, "How cliche is it to propose to someone on Christmas?"
And Morgen goes,
sitting next to me, my future father-in-law.
Dad proposed to Mom on Christmas.
And I automatically snapped, and I was like, "Oh, that's so romantic." That was beautiful.
But the fact of the matter is, there was a reason for it, and the reason was I wanted to be able to easily remember what the date was that I asked Shaunti to marry me. But seriously, back to the certainty question. At some level, you don't know what's in the heart of the person that you're going to be asking to spend the rest of your life together. You can get close, have wise counsel from good friends, pray about it, all of those things. But unless God somehow in a burning bush or talks to you in some unmistakable way, it is a step of faith. It is an idea that I'm going to have to work at this. I'm going to have to not take anything for granted, her or him, whatever the case may be. And I'm going to need to always be kind of curious about what I can do better to serve that person. And, it's not 100% guarantee, because I know of folks who've tried and done that and things haven't worked out. But I would rather put my efforts on that side. And I think the results for the vast majority of people, when you do that, when you honor God, it comes out pretty darn good.
Well, and when you make the commitment, that was one of the things that we found in the research for Secrets of Sex and Marriage, is that truly both the couples who went into marriage with that sense of there just is no eject button.
Right.
That sense tended to be protective, not always, as Ben's story illustrates, because both of his parents
were believers.
They were sincere in their faith. They sincerely went in thinking there's no eject button. And sometimes things do happen.
Exactly.
But that is protective.
It is.
And I think, Ben, your question, or the question of a lot of guys, am I really ready for this? The issue really is that you're deciding you're going to be ready, and that you're deciding you're making a commitment. And that's one of the things I respect so much about you, is you took the time you needed, you worked on yourself, Morgen worked on herself, and then you got to the point where you're like, okay, I am ready to make this step. I'm ready to make this move. And that's it, right? Like that is the getting ready.
I think you hit that right on the nail. Like I just took time to realize who I am and to mature.
And sort of made the decision, like, I'm ready to be ready.
Great way of putting that. Yeah. Now, just to ask you, Ben, what were some of the things that you, like, I know you did some purposeful things along the way in order to, be ready, in order to grow. If there's somebody else who is a 20-year-old man, like you guys were 20 when you met each other, and now you're 25, what would you advise a young man who is in kind of your same shoes?
I mean, that's a really good, deep question. I think the best advice I can probably give someone, because of my insecurities that I was thinking I wasn't ready, is more just take time for yourself to learn and grow. It doesn't need to be rush. I feel like most guys feel like it's either has to be now or never. but they don't take time to think about like, how do I grow? How do I learn? How do I learn more about myself and learn more about my partner?
I think the critical thing there, Ben, is the curiosity and what I can do different, what I can see in my future life partner that I want to try to understand, and you applied yourself to that over these past 5 years, and that's just it makes me as your future father-in-law pretty darn proud and happy with that choice.
Thank you. I'd like to add on to that. Even Morgan and I, we would talk about marriage maybe 2 years in our relationship, and I was very excited because, like, clearly I'm in love with her, and I want to spend every day with her. It's just, I think the problems that I was, like, struggling was more of, like, how do I become this man of, like, maturing, either finances, job opportunities, and like I guess like maturing with like emotions, right? So it's just that's the problems where I was struggling more. I was thrilled when I'm starting to date her and realizing I would spend forever with her. I think that's what I loved about our first date is it felt timeless, and I was like, I can really have a great future with this woman.
Aw. Well, let me ask you a question to both of you, actually, because, Ben, I'm really curious. How much did it help you that Morgan didn't press for an engagement? Like that she, as much as she probably wanted to, because when you get 3 or 4 years in, you're like, all right. But how much did it help that she let you have the time?
Oh, I think that was very crucial. Like I said, like if I went through that, I think I wouldn't be that mature. It would have taken me some time to become mature, absolutely. But I think her understanding my financial situations, coming out of college, no job hunting, living at home with my father, and figuring out who I am and what I'm good at. I mean, I remember researching the insurance field, right, before becoming a teacher. So she knew what I needed, and that's why I felt even more love and respect for her, because she knew what I really needed.
Yeah.
Morgan, what made it possible for you to give him that time?
Yeah. Giving you the time. I just saw you working on yourself. It would have been a different story if I had just seen you like sitting around,
gaming every night.
Gaming every night, not working on improving yourself. Like I could see that you were using that time intentionally, which is how I was able to step back and instead of trying to like pressure and say, "Hey, clock's ticking. Where is this going?" I got to actually be like, okay, how can I help you? What are things we can work on and work towards together?
Right, and you gave me some good steps of like how to like different thought processes. So I appreciate that.
And y'all had a common foundation of a faith in Christ, and you had good Christian friends that you were able to lean on and talk about these things with.
That's a great point.
I mean, it's community. It's if you're all alone and you think you're the only one, it's really, really hard. So that I think you both had that Christian influence, impact, community. So
Absolutely.
that was great. So Ben, I'm curious about y'all having gone through a divorce. You as a young kid.
I was like, I have not been married yet. I have not been through a divorce yet.
I think you were in 3rd grade or thereabouts. So did that create for you any kind of trust issues that you've seen surface, over the years?
That's a good question. It's not a lot of trust issues. I feel like I've seen, boyfriends come and go dating my mom. So it was kind of weird. But I'm happy one of them sticked, and he's been here for a while. I think they're celebrating their 13th or 14th year anniversary. Yeah. A year after that, my dad got remarried to my stepmom, and they've been married for 13, 14 plus years as well.
And one of the things, just for everybody to know, is like they're just wonderful.
Yeah, we hang out with them.
People.
Yeah, we love them.
And the joke was with my stepmom, I was like, "You're such an evil stepmother from Cinderella," but she's like the
'Cause
sweetest.
She's the sweetest.
She's the
Like,
sweetest.
Wouldn't hurt a fly.
She would not. She helped me out as a kid, and she's also a teacher. So she's the one who also called me like, "Oh, I can definitely see you as becoming a teacher." And I was like, "Okay."
So did that fact of the divorce, did that come into when you and Morgan started to date and get closer? Did any of that kind of like, again, back to your certainty,
Right?
Back to how do I feel
know?
about this?
I think it definitely impacted my way of like, not just, I trusted Morgan that she had good intentions, but when she would give me like an idea, I kind of want to double check like with evidence. I'm also a historian, so I like seeing evidence to make sure like that information is correct. No offense, Morgan. So that's the problems that I struggled, but I've been leaning more in the past couple of months. Probably Morgan can probably address that. Like whatever she's been saying, I 100% believe what she says instead of going to outside sources for help or
to
guidance.
confirm it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. I think in the beginning there were more instances. If I would say something, you're like, I don't know how that sounds. Let's fact check this a little bit. Let's go ask an outside source, and then they would confirm what I said, and you're like, oh, okay. And that sort of.
And she was right every single time.
Not every time, but
It was realistically you were right like 90%.
You didn't have the inherent, trust issues like you were saying, but I think there was just still we can be a team, and I can like rely on her without having the evidence. Like you gradually learned that. It was like a process to get
That's
there.
interesting. How did you respond to that, Morgan? Like, I could see I am a more strong personality than you are, but I could see that really getting on me.
I've inherited the strong personality a little bit, I think. But it definitely took a while to like get used to it and also sort of understand the background where that was coming from, because he did come from a very different background than I did in terms of like seeing relationships modeled, right? And so taking a step back and realizing that he had different experiences he was drawing from, I was able to like, it took a while, but eventually was like, oh yeah, it's not personal. I'm going to be there and have grace and understand and work with him on that. And, I'll stand the test of time, hopefully enough times of me being proven right. He'll start to trust that I'm right.
So here's a question for you, Morgan.
Well, and it's related.
It is related. So what do you think the benefit of having heard your mom and me talk at conferences many times, the truth, the research finding that it's important for people to believe the best of one another, and with you, how that played out perhaps from an early age?
Yeah. This has always been the single thing. If anyone asks me, like, what's the most important thing your parents taught you? I'll always say they really drilled home the believe the best in others mentality. So, like, growing up, like, if I had, my friends didn't invite me to something, I'd be like, oh my gosh, they hate me. And my parents were like, no, what's another explanation? Believing the best. I'm like, they probably knew that I wasn't free that day, and they had limited invites, so they couldn't invite me. I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's fair. Or another perfectly reasonable explanation that didn't have anything to do with me. That's not my inherent nature to believe the best in others. I take things personally, and having them drill that into me really changed my outlook and mentality. So now, like, if something happens between Ben and I, like, I have that perspective of, as a default, check myself, check my initial gut reaction. Is this believing the best in him? Or is this my inherent insecurities that were triggered? Something like that. And oftentimes, if I have a gut negative reaction, it's my insecurities. It's not that he did something. I can believe the best in him.
Okay, thank goodness. I was a little worried there that I did something wrong.
No.
Well, and just so for any listeners who aren't familiar with the finding that we're talking about, this was from the research project that Jeff and I did for like what are the secrets of the happiest marriages. We'll put these book references in the show notes, but this was from The Surprising Secrets of Highly Happy Marriages. And the key that we found that we started drilling into Morgen, because we probably did this research project in what, like 2012 or something ish, somewhere
certainly
along
more than
that.
a decade ago.
Right,
So-
right in the tween years.
Like she would have, like literally, like she would have been in middle school at this point. And you
Because
know how
friendships are so easy in middle school.
yes, exactly. So not easy. And so what we found in the marriages thing was that one of the top secrets, one of the prerequisites, honestly, for a happy marriage is believing the best of the other person's intentions towards you, even when you're legitimately hurt. Not saying that your hurt isn't legitimate, because we can all hurt each other. But to believe that ultimately your spouse really cares about you. And that concept may not always apply to your middle school friends, right? Like maybe they don't. Maybe they're being jerks. But most of the time, if somebody has proven themselves to be a friend, believing the best of their intentions is an important mindset. And what we told Morgen over and over was, if you don't believe the best with your friends, guess what you're going to do with your boyfriend? And guess what you're going to do with your husband? I don't know if you remember that part.
I do.
Okay. But that's something that is important. Okay, so as we get closer to wrapping up here, I want to turn, if you guys don't mind, you guys went through a bit of a challenging patch about 18 months ago. Now, I don't want you to have to describe it, but, you know, Jeff and I were really praying for you guys so much to be able to work through it. Ben, something changed when I showed you a chart in one of our books and a number showing that 72% of women find it so helpful and so loving when a man is upset, but he sort of pulls himself out of a funk. Why did that help you?
See, that's a good question.
Because you were, if I could just, sorry, I have to make sure I'm
No.
talking into the mic, because you were just like the average guy who was
Absolutely.
trying to work through some things and didn't realize, I think, that kind of what I call the black cloud of doom was affecting.
This
her.
was all from your research, not from personal experience.
No,
correct, Shaunti?
no, never,
never,
no.
never experienced this
No,
yourself.
asking for a friend. Yes,
Uh-huh.
absolutely.
So the question was, Ben, I mean, if I could put words in your mouth, it's easy to just kind of go into that mode of, I'm just inside my head. I'm going to deal with this. I don't really want to talk to anyone. I'm upset, and that's okay. I'm going to work it through at some point.
Even as a child, with my emotions, no bash on my mom, she would think that like I was either overreacting. Absolutely, I probably was. But I was just a very emotional tuned child. Probably because of my parents' divorce. I don't really know the scientific behind all that. So when I get upset or we have arguments and I shut down, A lot of my other family members do this, by the way, and I just block out. I wasn't even trying to be mean to Morgen until Ms. Shaunti showed me the statistics that like it's showing that I was actually hurting her child. Like Morgen was probably thinking of like, does he hate me? Does he not love me anymore? And I was like, clearly I don't want that for my
Right.
girlfriend. So that's I think that's when it snapped. It clicked in my head where I was like, okay, yeah, I don't want to hurt her. It was just more of my way to shut off the feelings.
Exactly. You weren't intentionally trying to inflict. And just as when I would do that, well, maybe I was intentionally in some points. No, I honestly, for the most part, I was upset. And it didn't necessarily even have to involve Shaunti, what I was upset about.
Right.
And it was hard for me to realize I thought I was just impacting myself. I thought, look, I'm upset. I just need to work through it. They can all go on with their life and they're fine, but I need to process this. And sometimes it may take 2 or 3 days.
And as guys and cultural, we're supposed to hold our feelings in, and we're not. That's what we think, and we're not supposed to share. So that's why I think I was holding back, because I didn't want to share a lot of the feelings. But now sharing the feelings actually do help. I'm very thankful that Shaunti did show me that.
Yeah. No, I agree. And the thing is, what I realized and what helped me, kind of come out of my black cloud of gloom was that I could walk around with that for 2, 3, or even more days. And by being able to talk at some point and release it into, and tell Shaunti about it or whatever it was and try to articulate the feelings as hard as they were, all of a sudden that cloud kind of lifted and I didn't have to suffer for 2 or 3 days. I could get rid of it earlier. So,
and she didn't have to suffer for 2 or 3 days.
That's exactly right.
Exactly.
So, and I did realize, and one of the reasons why I wanted to do that, just like you, Ben, was I hadn't realized how negatively it impacted her by me feeling and acting that way.
Yeah.
I thought it was just me.
And I think based on our research, I think that's common.
For most guys.
And for women. Okay, Morgan, I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this question, but I'm gonna ask you quickly. Is there anything that you're like in this relationship with Ben that you've been like, well, this didn't come up in all of the stuff that I read? Like, he's handling this differently. Like, this wasn't supposed to be this wasn't what mom and dad said.
Okay, well, I know that the statistical, averages are around 80% of women, 20% of men, or vice versa. One is a spender, one is a saver. I thought I was going to be the spender. But I have learned to now be the saver for both of us little bit.
Even as a child.
Check my impulses and what I want to buy. You have a lot of your hobbies, and I love that. I just realized hobbies are expensive.
Even as a child, if I got like a Target gift card, I would spend it the next day.
I would hoard my Target gift cards, and they would expire.
I will spend gift cards the next day.
But yeah, that was just one of those things that I wasn't expecting. Like, with all of the research, I hadn't really been preparing my mentality of, what happens if I'm the one who's the saver? Like, that just hadn't come into my head.
And what the research is that there is no statistical men are more likely to be this way and women are more likely to be that way. It's pretty much 50-50. But what we do know is that in every relationship, even if both people are savers, one of the two is more comfortable spending than the other. And so it doesn't mean that you're crazy spending everything, but it's different from the other. And so you need to get to that point of kind of talking it through, as in almost all of the answers to all of these questions.
Which you guys have done.
It's
at
talk
least
about it.
To some degree.
Right.
Right? I mean, how did you guys talk through that?
We talked through it.
Yeah.
We sort of talked about, like, the why, I guess, behind, like, why did we want to save? Why did we want to buy those things?
I think it goes back to the first question, too, of, like, your dad asking us at this beginning of the podcast, what were you thinking about for the first steps? Am I ready? And I had to learn to, like, I need to save.
Yeah.
That was one of the steps, is me saving money. I love hobbies.
And because one thing is, I mean, you got to save money for a ring.
2 rings, by the way.
And no one tells you that.
Oh, that's one of the dirty secrets that they don't tell you, isn't it?
No one tells you.
So it's you
and
get
don't waste all your money on the first ring, too.
Right?
Because
you either buy a second ring.
The actual wedding ring. So you actually have 3 rings you have to buy.
Yeah.
As a kid, I thought it was naive. I thought it was like the engagement ring was the wedding ring. Because it's the diamond ring. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Nope.
So there may be a reason why they're particularly intense about this today.
We just bought the rings today, so this is fresh.
Very exciting.
Very
and
exciting.
it's very expensive. So anyway.
Very expensive hobby.
So Morgan, before we close, do you have any, or Ben, do you guys have any other questions?
The main question that I have is, as a Christian couple, obviously I really want to put God at the center of our marriage, right? We always hear that that's like the most important thing. And I'm fully on board with that. But like, how do I do that? What's the practical steps for putting God at the center of our marriage?
I mean, I have some thoughts, but you might want to go first.
No,
you sure?
start.
Okay. You guys have heard of or seen the marriage triangle, right?
Yes, where we're both
Okay.
going towards God.
Yes.
Yes. So like
You're at each corner.
Yep.
Think of
angle.
a triangle where the husband and the wife are the bottom two corners of the triangle. God is at the top. As you get closer to God, you also get closer to each other by the very geography of a triangle. And so the most important thing from my perspective is putting God at the center of your marriage means putting God at the center of your life, right? Like it would be very easy. And honestly, it was challenging during the years where the kids were really little. Like anyone who's got young children who is listening to this, and maybe for themselves as a young couple, it can be hard when you're exhausted all the time. Maybe you're both working, but even if it's just that 5 minutes a day of I'm going to sit down and I'm going to force myself, even if don't want to, I'm going to force myself to do a Bible reading or a devotional or whatever it is, so that I'm tuning my spirit to God and what he wants for me, because then I'll hear it, hopefully, when he wants something for the marriage.
Yeah. And Ben, you shared with me just this past week a little reel off of Instagram of a guy talking about how important it is for a husband and wife to pray together. And you said, gosh, I hadn't really, and pray together every night.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And you said, I hadn't really thought about that, but I want to do that. I want that to be a practice.
Yeah, I was thinking of the idea of like, yes, Morgan and I, we pray together, but like put it into practice, like you said, not like in a religious way of like making it order, like, oh, this is going to be the
Strict
equation,
schedule.
equation to
Success in our marriage.
Success in our marriage. No, but understanding that this can be a tool in a
Right.
relationship, that opened up my mind. Like, okay, this could be really cool. This could be really awesome to like pray together during either hard times or easy times, right?
Yeah. And I will say that we've got couples that, we work with in marriage ministry, and some of them say, this is the main thing that we always tell couples that we're counseling of the importance of this. And Shaunti and I kind of go,
We kind of shrink a little bit.
We shrink a little because
No, what they're saying is pray together
every
night.
Every night. Whether if one of you is traveling on the road, you call and you pray over the phone together. And so Shaunti and I are kind of like,
We're bad. We're bad people.
Because we've had seasons where we've done that, but that hasn't been a regular nightly practice for us. We pray together often on
You just can't force
various
it,
things.
I feel like.
And
it needs to be like natural, like a good relationship, right?
I think so.
Get to
And
the
it's
point where it's a habit.
Exactly. It's that, look, we both know that our God is at the center of this and that he's there for us and we're there for him.
And
So
I think another thing, just to make a note, in addition to, in addition to praying together regularly, whatever that looks like for you, and in addition to putting God at the center of your life, I do think putting God at the center of your marriage there's some functional steps. Things like, it is so easy. This is no offense to our young adult kids who like sleeping in, but it is so easy to sleep in on Sunday mornings and not go to church in person and just be like, okay, you know what? I'm so tired. I've been working so many hours. I'm just going to go to church. I'm going to watch online. And that's the kind of stuff that discipline, I guess that's the right word.
yeah.
There's some disciplines like praying together, like attending church, like going to a couple's small group or something where you get into community.
Yep.
That putting God at the
They're
center of your marriage.
protective of your marriage.
Yeah.
They're protective.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Adding that discipline just helps make all of the habits sort of fall in line.
A little bit more, at least.
Yeah.
We're all people, but yes.
So,
Okay, so
as we wrap, one of the things in the podcast that we always try to do is we ask our guests. People forget things that they've heard, 25 minutes earlier that we were talking about. But here at the end, if you were to give kind of one takeaway that you'd want the listener to take away from this, what would it be? Maybe it's maybe you're talking to a friend, who's thinking about marriage or dating,
or maybe it's someone 5 years behind you on the journey.
What would be something that you'd want to share with them?
Honestly, what I would want to share is it's normal for couples to have challenges, and you can work through it. Just because while you're dating, a challenge comes up, that's not an instant, red flag, abort ship, obviously depending on the nature of the challenge. But, in general, like, you can work through things, and challenges will come up when you get married. So part of dating is practicing and getting ready for marriage, So practice how to handle those challenges now. Work on that healthy communication styles now, and you'll be so much better set up and prepared for marriage. I'm honestly grateful for the challenges that we've gone through, because we've come out stronger on the other end, and we're just honestly at this point just so excited for marriage. We're not even nervous.
I'm so nervous.
Okay, well, yes, the takeaway for me at least is grateful and at the opportunity to work through things and come out stronger.
If I can give advice for a young man out there, is to pursue her. Pursue. Figure out what makes her happy and what makes her glow. Just the little things. And then also during the arguments, pursue her. Understand where she's coming from. Speak last, let her speak first, is what I've been learning.
Wow.
Okay. That's really good.
That's really good.
You know what I'm hearing, Morgan, and really both of you, but I'm reminded, just as we close this out, of something that happened just a few weeks ago, when Morgan, during all of the government shutdown, air traffic control issues, Morgan ended up having to drive from New Jersey to Atlanta to make it home by a particular thing she had to be home for. And it was a how many hour drive? 15-hour drive, yes. And she was like, I'm nervous. And we basically were like, you know what? If you do this, rather than, taking the risk of taking the flight and being delayed, if you drive, you will have proved to yourself you can do this.
That's right.
And that's kind of the same thing with getting ready for marriage. Like, all of those things, the conflict you go through, all of the financial conversations, all of the stuff that you find out that you disagree with each other in the premarital counseling, and all those things, you end up discovering, you work through it, and then now you know.
I can do this.
I can do this. So thank you so much to both of you, for Morgan and Ben, for coming on the show today and being willing to share your perspective. And we will tell anyone who's listening to this, if your friends or if you have young adult kids, if they would benefit from this conversation, please share today's episode and tag us on all your social media channels. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for listening to I Wish You Could Hear This. Remember to subscribe to our podcast. And as always, forward today's audio or video link to a friend, counselor, or pastor who would be encouraged.